It's too early. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 107 of the Shower Podcast, the podcast where I'm in my shower and you do you. I'm your host, Chip, and have you ever wondered what happens when you try to learn something new? How does your brain work? Well, actually, there were a lot of people that were curious about this topic, and I will try to make you understand in a very simple way using the metaphor of a construction site. So, before we start, I'd like you to picture scaffolds, two systems that work in your brain, and how these three things are tightly connected in order for you to become good at something. Before we start, as always, if you do like the content, it would be truly appreciated if you could leave a like and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already. It helps a lot the video, myself, and the reachability of the content. And it's just one click, but it means a lot. Let's dive into the topic of today. So, why do I talk about scaffolds? Well, if you've ever seen a construction site, you start from nothing. So you try to build something. You have a project in mind. And, you plan is searching for the resources, searching for a book, trying to use whatever is available to you at the time that you're learning something to gather information. The tricky part and the interesting one is that through time, this has evolved. Back in the days, you had to go to a library. More recently, you had, published books, but still, had to go through these, books that you could buy. Then we had the internet. Then became video lectures, became more and more present. And nowadays we have AI. All of these are plans, or at least resources that you can use. But the idea that you have once you decide on what to work is the same. Select a project, build a scaffold, create, and then, remove it in order to see the result. And here's the tricky part. When we try to learn something, there are these two systems that work in your head. If you haven't, all the terms that I'm going to mention are from a very famous book called Think Fast, Think Slow. I truly recommend it if you want to dive deeper into the concepts that I'm going to, explore today. But to make it simple, you have two systems. System one is the one that is based off your instincts. It immediately uses everything that it knows that you know how to use. There's no questioning. It just goes with the answers. It doesn't have time. He believes and he trusts you that whatever you give him, it's correct. On the other hand, you have system two. System two is very critical. It observes everything and questions everything. Now, in order to learn something, you have to, unfortunately, bother system two. Because system one, as I said, is able to use only information that you mastered. And if you haven't seen the episode of, mastery, go and check episode 106, where we discussed about this. But again, system one kicks in only if you mastered something. So you have to rely on system two. The problem is that system two is quite lazy, or can be easily overwhelmed. It has been studied that overall you are able to take 4 to 5 new concepts at a time. After that, your capability is completely capped, and any information that goes on, it will just be wasted. So, let's assume that you are giving system 2 the right amount of information, and you are trying to build something upon to evolve and give it then to system one in order then to have an information that you have mastered. The problem again is that this process takes time and you have to engage a lot with system two in order to make it say, okay, enough. This is something that I can give to system one. And the process that I just described to you, you can imagine as building the scaffold, So you build a scaffold around your project. Bit by bit, you see the thing going up with system one. And there is a catch, unfortunately. This process on paper works perfectly. And in many aspects, it's the only way that you have to do something. Think about sports. Think about music. You have to stay there, practice, deliberately do something, deliberate practice leads to mastery. So you engage with system 2, it gives something to system 1 because you really learned it, and by repetition and repetition, you arrive at the final result. With the introduction of tools as ChatGPT, LLMs, and all these products that just spit an answer out, they don't ask you to engage with system 2, or to be more precise, the more you use it, the more system 1 will start assuming that that is correct. Because you engage with system 2, you checked a couple of times, it was pretty okay, so you start trusting it. So also when you start learning something, you say, okay, yeah, give me this, I'm gonna read it, it's gonna be fine. So you put up the scaffold very fast, you look at what you built and you think it's fine, and so you start removing the scaffold. What happens now is that what you were seeing while the scaffold was up was an illusion. Once you remove everything, you realize that it was too early. You removed the scaffold, you, let's say, stopped the engagement and the learning process with system 2, and now, when you look at what you built with system 1, it's not really something that you can rely on. And why is this a problem? It is a problem because the moment that you will require to build something new, imagine building a second floor on the building that you were trying to build. Sorry for the usage of building, but it was the word that was coming to me. When you try to go for the second floor, you would like to know that the first floor, the base floor, is solid. But since, given what we said, this is not really true. So you start questioning the layer below, therefore engaging with system 2. But if you remember at the start, we said that system 2 can handle just a few things at a time. And so you enter this contradictory loop where you technically know stuff, but in practice cannot really use it. Because what is missing is that you haven't really mastered that information. There is no, this is the definition, cognitive offload happening. You are not able to just, give everything to system 1. And if you do, in the wrong way, well, the results will not be good. The beauty when seeing somebody that does something great, the beauty of seeing a fully built and structurally solid building is that it looks effortless. It looks like it was meant to be. If you see a talented pianist or a professional tennis player, it looks like the easiest thing in the world. Why? Because they're just using system 1. It's just flowing. It's just going with it. There's no effort. It's effortless. But why? Because again, everything that they are using was previously passed to system 2 and made it to, let's say, the real world. And it's actually useful. All of this to say that when you're trying to learn something new, when you're approaching a new subject, always think of it as a dual process. It's not just seeing something, kind of understanding and saying, yeah, whenever I'll need it, I'll just use it. Because if you haven't really gotten that information, the moment that you'll try to use it, you will think that you're using system 1, but you're actually engaging system 2. And when you try to add new things, well, spoiler, it won't work because you'll be overwhelmed by information. So today, I don't have a solution to everything. I just wanted to express this idea that I saw online. And again, it brought me to combination because I was fortunate enough to have read that book. And I was like, that is really, really nice. And I think it's worth to have it as a single piece of knowledge to be shared. And that's why the episode is here. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please feel free to leave a like and also subscribe if you like the format. Overall, this was episode 107 of the Shower Podcast. Thank you very much for listening. And stay resilient, stay consistent, and see you at the next one.